The snowstorm had come out of nowhere, blanketing the streets of downtown Toronto in thick white silence. The wind howled between the buildings, biting through coats and scarves like they were paper. On a corner near a closed bookstore, she stood, huddled beneath a threadbare hoodie, her arms wrapped around herself, trembling. Her name was Olivia, 23, fresh out of university and stuck in a city that had slowly swallowed her savings, her optimism, and her plans. She had moved from Vancouver hoping to find work in publishing, but what she found instead was rejection, bills, and an apartment she could no longer afford. That night, with nowhere to sleep, she wandered the icy streets. She hadn't even realized her tears had frozen to her cheeks. Across the street, Nathan was locking up the shelter where he volunteered every Tuesday evening. He was 35, a firefighter who spent his free time helping the downtown homeless. That night, he noticed her, not because of how she looked, but because of how out of place she seemed. She wasn't panhandling. She wasn't asking for help. She just stood there, like a ghost no one else could see. He crossed the road slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Hey," he said softly, holding out his hand. "It's freezing out here. Are you okay?" Olivia flinched, then nodded quickly. "I'm fine." But her lips were blue. Her fingers were shaking. Nathan didn't push. "There's hot soup and blankets inside. Just until the storm lets up." She hesitated. Pride burned in her chest, louder than the cold. But her body was giving up. Finally, she nodded. Inside, he sat her down, wrapped a blanket around her shoulders, and handed her a warm bowl of chicken noodle soup. She sipped it slowly, eyes fixed on the floor. Nathan didn't press for details. He just talked about the shelter, about how much snow they were expecting, about his dog Baxter who hated snow. And for the first time in days, Olivia smiled. She told him her story in pieces over the next hour. About her dreams, her failures, her loneliness. He listened, never judging, only nodding gently. By the time the snow stopped, it was midnight. She stood to leave, but he stopped her. "You can't sleep out there. There's a cot in the back. Please." She didn't argue. Something in his voice felt safe, steady, like warmth in the middle of all that cold. Days passed. Then weeks. Olivia came back to the shelter every night. Not because she had nowhere else to go, but because Nathan would be there. They talked for hours, laughed, shared little pieces of themselves. He learned she loved Rilke and old movies. She learned he lost his fiancée 4 years ago in a car accident. The pain still sat in his eyes when he spoke about it, but he let her see it. And somewhere between the laughter and the silences, something fragile but beautiful bloomed. He had saved her from the cold, but he couldn't save himself from falling for her. He never said it. Neither did she. Until the night she found an apartment and a new job at a small local magazine. She came to the shelter, her face glowing, holding 2 steaming cups of coffee. "I got the job," she said. He grinned. "I knew you would." They stood in the doorway, the snow falling quietly behind them. Her eyes searched his. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I've never done this alone." "You're not alone," he said, his voice rough. "You never were." Her eyes welled with tears. "I don't know what this is between us, but I know it's real." He took the coffee from her hand, set it down, and wrapped his arms around her. "It's real," he whispered against her hair. "It's the realest thing I've felt in years." They stood like that, 2 people who had lost so much, finding something new in the middle of winter. A few months later, they weren't just in love, they were partners. At work, at home, at life. She started a reading program at the shelter. He ran weekend fire safety workshops for the community. Together, they built something stronger than either had alone. Sometimes love doesn't come with grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes it walks across a snowy street with a bowl of soup and a warm blanket. Sometimes, the person you save ends up saving you, too. And in the quiet spaces where 2 broken people learn to heal, hope blooms again, even in the coldest of winters. That's the story of Olivia and Nathan, a woman who had lost her way, a man who had lost his heart, and the storm that brought them both home.